Hello, my friends. Welcome to today's episode of Stand Up, where my guest is comedian and writer Christian Finnegan. Christian is, of course, a regular here on Fridays, but today's conversation is very special and intimate and vulnerable. Two guys talking about life I think you're really going to like. We go pretty deep on today's conversation, so look forward to that. Also, trying something new, just an experiment today. I'm going to drop another conversation today, shortly after this one, so look for my interview with the president of the Florida Education Association, the biggest teachers union in Florida. Plenty to talk about. Had an awesome conversation with Andrew Spar. So first, I'll have the Christian Finnegan episode, and then later you'll see the Andrew Spar episode. So you have two things to choose from, two episodes of Stand Up to choose from on today. Just an experiment. Bear with me on that. Also wanted to mention there's a big party tomorrow in Jupiter, Florida, and you're invited. If you're a stand-up listener, you can head over to Swamp South. Longtime listener Brian Mitchell has this beautiful botanical garden, and he wanted me to plug it. I should have been doing it earlier this week. Next year or the next time he does it, I plan to show up, and hopefully you will too. But if anybody's in or around Jupiter, Florida, Saturday the 4th, hey, you're invited. Go to swampsouth.com to check out Brian's amazing botanical garden that he's come up. Swampsouth.com. Very, very cool dude and an amazing place. I took Val and girls there several years back, but it was a really, really great time. So check that out as well. But before we get to my interview with Christian, I do have a few clips that I want to play for you. We had an awesome hangout last night. I should have mentioned that. That's why I'm a little late with the Friday post here. But a couple people mentioned they appreciated me including these clips, the sound from Congress on yesterday's show. So there was a lot to choose from today, because yesterday Republicans kicked Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, off the Foreign Affairs panel, exacting their revenge because Democrats kicked off a couple of representatives, Republicans, when they were in charge, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar, because of their social media posts where they endorsed violence against Democrats. The removal of Ilhan Omar was as a result of her saying at one point that certain pro-Israel groups were, quote, all about the Benjamins, baby, appearing to refer to $100 bills and what was seen at the time as invoking an anti-Semitic trope about Jews and money. However, almost all of the Jewish members of Congress voted against removing Ilhan Omar, and certainly think that if there are anti-Semitic members of Congress, they are Republicans. And yesterday, during a really raw debate on the House floor, prominent Democrats, including many Jewish members, stood alongside Ilhan Omar's closest friends in Congress to defend her in passionate and at times emotional speeches. Writes the New York Times account of this. They accuse Republicans of hypocrisy, xenophobia, and racism for targeting her while saying nothing about anti-Semitic remarks by members of their own party, some of who have even associated with Holocaust deniers. And a few of those clips I've got for you right now. But first, Ilhan Omar's passionate floor speech, which comes in at about 5 minutes. If you don't want to hear this, you want to fast forward to my interview with Christian, you can, but I highly recommend, or maybe you already heard it. First, I've got Ilhan Omar herself. I've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Eric Swalwell, and more. Here we go from yesterday.
Opinions do we have to have to be counted as Americans? This is what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. There is this idea that you are a suspect if you are an immigrant, or if you are from certain parts of the world, or a certain skin tone, or a Muslim. It is no accident that members of the Republican Party accused the first black president, Barack Obama, of being a secret Muslim. It is no accident that former President Donald Trump led a birther movement that falsely claimed he was born in Kenya. Because to them, falsely labeling the first and only President of the United States of America a Muslim and African immigrant somehow made him less American. Well, I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted? Is anyone surprised that I am somehow deemed unworthy to speak about American foreign policy, or that they see me as a powerful voice that needs to be silenced. Frankly, it is expected, because when you push power, power pushes back. Representation matters. Continuing to expand our ideas of who is American and who can partake in the American experiment is a good thing. I am an American who was sent here, by her constituents to represent them in Congress, a refugee who survived the horrors of a civil war, someone who spent her childhood in a refugee camp, someone who knows what it means to have a shot at a better life here in the United States, and someone who believes in the American dream and the American possibility and the promise and the ability to participate in the democratic process. That is what this debate is about. There is an idea out there that I do not have objective decision making because of who I am, where I come from, and my perspective. But I reject that. We say there is nothing objective about policy making. We all inject our perspective, our point of views, our lived experiences, and the voices of our constituents. That's what democracy is about. So what is the work of the Foreign Affairs Committee? It is not to co-sign the stated foreign policy of whatever administration is in power. It's about oversight. It's to critique and to advocate for a better path forward. But most importantly, it is to make the myth that American foreign policy is intrinsically moral a reality. So I will continue to speak up because representation matters. I will continue to speak up for little kids who wonder who's speaking up for them. I will continue to speak up for families around the world who are seeking justice, whether they are displaced in refugee camps or they are hiding under their beds somewhere like I was, waiting for the bullets to stop. Because this child, survivor of war, would have wanted that. The 9-year-old me would be disappointed if I didn't talk about the victims of conflict, those that are experiencing unjust wars, atrocities, ethnic cleansing, occupation, or displacement like I did. They are looking to the international community and the United States, asking for help. They look to us because the international community and the United States profess the values of protecting human rights and upholding international law. So we owe it to them not to make this a myth, but a reality. I didn't come to Congress to be silent. I came to Congress to be their voice. And my leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term. My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been. So take your vote or not. I am here to stay, and I am here to be a voice against harms around the world and advocate for a better world. I yield back.
All right. Ilhan Omar yesterday on the House floor in her own defense. And now here is a good friend of hers, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, with a passionate and fiery defense.
Thank you. Now, as a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America. And this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body. I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
My life was threatened. Thank you.
Oh, right. There's AOC on fire. And now if you're going to be on fire because you're going to be triggered by this. I certainly was really, really pissed off to hear George Santos go on to the floor and congratulate his new colleagues for removing Ilhan Omar. Unbelievable. This guy is so bad. He's so bad. Anyway, here he is for like 40 seconds. I had to give you some context here. George Santos, who once said that he was Jewish, but he's not.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to congratulate my colleagues on voting to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. The passage of H.R. 76 sends a strong message that we support Israel and the Jewish community. I urge the 118th Congress to now stand together, proudly upholding every single American, no matter race, pedigree, religion, nor creed, as any less American than their neighbor. That Jewish Americans are patriotic Americans, and that we all have a role in fighting bigotry and anti-Semitism in our country. We must make sure that the House of Representatives reflects such principles as a united body. I yield back.
Oh, thank God he yielded back. I don't think I could take another second of that. But here, to cleanse your palate, here's Eric Swalwell, who was also removed from his committee posts.
Recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, when I heard that we're going to remove a member of this House from their committee for anti-Semitism, I raced down here because I thought, finally, in this chamber, there's going to be some accountability from this conference that continues to allow its members to root for rioters, to show sympathy for the insurrection, a conference that harbors a wanted international criminal and has members who choose violence over voting every single day, finally. And so I thought, we're going to hold someone accountable for anti-Semitism. Surely it's the author of this tweet. Kanye, Elon, Trump, October 6th, written by Chairman Jim Jordan. October 8th, what does Kanye say? I'm going to declare DEFCON 3 on the Jews. So surely this tweet came down, right? Came down, was deleted. No, 2 more months it was kept up. 2 more months. So don't come here looking at us for anti-Semitism. Look in your own damn mirror before you ever come over here. And I yield back.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from Eric Swalwell. I've got more, but Congressman Jamie Raskin tweeted, by refusing to seat Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, and Ilhan Omar on their committees while seating compulsive liar and con man George Santos and bowing and scraping to compulsive liar and con man Donald Trump, Kevin McCarthy has shown America exactly what he believes in. Nothing. I love that. And I just quickly found this analysis commentary from Kurt Bardella, who was on MSNBC last night with Joy Reid. This is what he had to say about it all.
Well, this is the thing. I don't remember Republicans running in the midterm elections saying that they're going to be the best investigators that the American people have ever seen. I don't remember them running campaign ads saying we're going to kick off Democrats from congressional committees if you put us in power. I don't remember any of those things being central theses to the rationale to elect a Republican. And you know this because you ran the RNC. Yeah. So you understand how important campaigning and then getting something done is. When I see Republicans go out there and the first impression they had was complete chaos with even trying to elect a Speaker of the House. The second impression is taking members off committees who did nothing wrong. Their only felony seems to be they told the truth about the Republican Party, and they can't get anything done on the economy, on inflation, on gas prices, on the laundry list of things that they said they would get done if they were elected. They have no answer for now, so they're going to put on this charade. It's really a reality TV publicity stunt spectacle, whether it's their sham investigations or these stunts right now kicking members off committees. What I don't get about this, though, is when you try to silence somebody, when you try to cancel somebody, you end up empowering them. People like Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, Ilhan Omar, they're going to be even more powerful and more important and visible because now they're going to have some free time on their hands when they're not on committees to go and make Kevin McCarthy's life miserable.
Ilhan Omar said it, too. I mean, if you strike me down now, I will be more powerful than ever before. You remember the Obi-Wan Kenobi quote?
Your powers are weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, we all know what happened next. Okay, well, that's it for the clips. There was a lot more, but it was a really dramatic day on the House floor, and I thought Democrats did a great job supporting Ilhan Omar and each other. So we will continue to follow that. Hopefully you appreciated hearing those clips, because now it's time to get to my conversation with Christian Finnegan, who this one really takes a turn. I mean, we had a great conversation, and this is what I want to do more of, these types of talks, just talking, especially to men, but there's nothing here that women obviously can't relate to. But I think that it's been harder for guys to talk about these kinds of things, certainly openly and publicly. And again, this is not gender specific, but it certainly does seem to be an issue that men struggle with and have a harder time addressing. Just talking it out with friends openly and vulnerably about what you're struggling with. And I just love what Christian had to say here throughout the interview. We went back and forth into the more thoughtful, vulnerable moments. Also, we don't listen to this with your kids, because we talked about, he suggested that I, in my retirement or older age, open my own line of jerk sheds. The jerk shed, where I am. That's what he calls it. So we get a little sophomoric, a little childish there, but I thought it was funny. Anyway, let's do it right now. Christian Finnegan, of course, a hilarious stand-up comedian who's had an amazing career, and he is now writing and continuing, obviously, to do stand-up, but writing a great Substack newsletter. If you like music and are interested in music, which you definitely are, you will love this, and you need to go subscribe right now to New Music for Olds. Look for a link in the show notes, or go to newmusicforolds.substack.com. You can also see Christian with Ophira Eisenberg tonight in New York City in her one-woman show, Leaving a Mark, a comedy about scars. And Christian will be her guest tonight at the Soho Playhouse. I should be on CNN. I'm scheduled to be on CNN tonight at 11 o'clock with my friend Laura Coates. You can look for that as well, by the way, which is why I might not be able to make that show myself. But that is it. Here we go. Right now, let's do it with Christian Finnegan. Finnegan Fridays. There he is. I've got him alone. It's just Christian and I, and I'm so excited to see you, and I'm glad that you're here. But I want to let everybody know, you first, I'm not prepared to talk to you today. I haven't read the last couple issues of your amazing newsletter, New Music for Olds, but I do have some ideas that I want to talk to you about promoting it, because I think people really love it. But I don't know what's going on.
And I'm the world's worst promoter. So,
well, aren't we all? Aren't we all? I mean, it's just another chore. But I wanted to just say I'm just not as prepared to talk to you, but I'm very excited to see you. So it always goes good is the point of me saying that.
I think it's important to hire a researcher, a Christian Finnegan specific researcher, to make sure that you're fully prepared for every conversation we have with, notes, PowerPoint presentation, what have you. Because clearly my time is extremely valuable, and there's a lot of people begging for me to be on their podcast feed. And, the flagrant disrespect of not being up to date on my works and actions is slightly insulting.
I think it's fair, and I think given who you are and the respect that your career demands, I think it's appropriate, which is why I decided to assign my new intern, who is awesome, for real. I don't know if you've heard, but
Deet Pominick?
It is not. No, Pete. You're talking about Schmeat Dominic, and then you're also talking about Keith. And Keith was let go. I haven't made that announcement yet, but I've hired Odessa. She's a real person.
Really? Real person?
She's a student at the University of Wisconsin, Whitewater. And I've been wanting to hire an intern, but going through the work, I was just not able to sit down and do the work of going through interviews.
That's the hard. Yeah. I mean, I know that from my wife, a QED. It's I need help. But when it comes to I don't have 3 weeks to train somebody. So, and then have it go kaput and then have to do it all over again.
This young woman was my daughter Ava's one of her closest friends at camp, where they were both counselors. And so she's 21 and she lives in Wisconsin. So she's interning, the whole thing's virtual. And there's all kinds of concerns regarding HR, but so far the audience has been HR. and she's been at our hangouts. But I think,
I really avoided making any sort of untoward comments about that. They were all flooding to my brain, but I decided
it's a young woman working for a man in a shed. There's tons of material there, but we can keep it off the air as a result of wanting to be professional here. But I just want to say, part of her job now is going to be researching you, and she will conduct an interview so I can teach her the art of the interview, and you will be the big guest, and she'll have to talk to you about your entire career. Are you up for that? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, I am sure. I mean, I would be honored to be your intern guinea pig.
If you could sound more excited, like we prepared that ahead of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was thinking,
it's gonna be awesome.
I was thinking about if I were to really prepare and do the full Christian Finnegan, arc of his career interview. Oh, you started in comedy. Tell me about the Chappelle show, Best Week Ever, and everything that you've done.
What made you stop doing comedy? I haven't stopped comedy. Oh, sorry. This is awkward.
Yeah, that was it. That was where I knew something. A real nugget was going to come out of that entire proposal. So you also told me, though, that you saved this time for us to talk today, and now you're using it as an excuse to not go to the gym, but that does insinuate that you've continued to be on this really healthy living.
No, it's a ruse. I'm telling you, I can't even take credit for it. It's like, I'm going to the gym, but I'm not doing what I should be doing when I'm there. I know what it's like to really be going to the gym and to really be locked in on my health. And I am not that. I am doing the habit of going to the gym, which I do believe is a step. I don't believe it's nothing. I think that sort of training yourself to sort of make that a part of your life is useful and all that. But it's like, I know what it's like to really put my back into it. And I would say that I'm not quite there yet.
Well, you know what I'd say? Most of that experience that you have, that we all have, of really hard exercise workouts was before you had open heart surgery. And so
I know.
I don't know. I would have compassion for
myself. Can we just get rid of mirrors in gyms? Just get rid of them. I mean, I get it. It's like, I understand when you're in really good shape, you want to see the muscles and whatnot. But for someone like me, it has a deflating effect that actually makes me just want to give up. Like I don't need to see myself from every angle at all times. It's just not necessary.
There should be some kind of interview questions for a gym that you design. And if you design this gym, it's got what kind of people. And clearly the Christian Finnegan Fitness Club has no mirrors. But what do you ask people before you allow them to become members of a communal space to exercise?
Do you go to the gym for fun? And if the answer is yes, then you're not allowed to be a member. Do you enjoy the gym? And those people are forbidden.
A lot of people are becoming part of a community through their gym. I heard an interview where a guy was like, yeah, I really found community at an older age. I never really had it, but it's like people at my gym, we all hang out. What do you think of that idea? Is that
I mean, some people, some people drink their own urine too.
Right.
But I think of it along the same lines.
Have you talked to anybody? Do you talk to anybody in the gym? Do you have any regulars?
No,
like, what's up, dude?
Not. No,
hey, no.
Hey, I'm horrified when I see somebody I know at the gym. It's terrifying to me. It's terrible.
What is that feeling?
Huh? Well, because again, it's like, I'm not super thrilled with how I look right now. Like, I'm not, they're going to see me on Twitter in between every set. Like, it's not, I just don't like it. I don't want to be seen in that. To me, it's a completely different bubble world that I go into, and I want it to be completely anonymous, and then I want to leave it.
When it comes to exercise, last exercise related question though, why the gym? What about when you're upstate in your little cabin, and why not working out at home? Why do you prefer, if you gotta, or maybe you do it all? I don't know.
Well, I tried doing that like the whole pandemic. Like I was doing like Taibo, and when I'm up in the woods, like I will go jogging and stuff outside. But I just found that I think I need the sort of, again, that sort of bubble aspect of the gym where it's like, I go to a place where I do a thing and then I leave that place and then I don't do that thing. You know what I mean? Where it for me, I just, I love going on hikes and stuff like that. And of course that stuff has a fitness aspect to it, but I don't think of that as exercising. Like exercising to me is a sort of siloed activity. Like I love playing ping pong. I love shooting hoops. There's plenty of, things that require physical movement that I enjoy. But I kind of like the idea of just like, no, this is when I go to the gym for this, whatever, 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I just do that stuff.
Right.
And that exists in this space alone.
Makes a ton of sense. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. I feel like I want to ask like people of a certain age, type, whatever, me, you, and others, how they, especially men, how their relationship with exercise has changed and what they're doing. If they're doing something that works, what is it? Because
I got us to go back to doing yoga. I was doing yoga some last year, and I just I remember hearing that your ability to sit on the ground, like Indian style or whatever, determines how mobile you're going to be as an elderly person, and that was that was concerning to me because like I don't feel super comfortable sitting on the floor for more than 15, 20 minutes before I'm like leaning back on my hands. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the kind of thing where like yoga, it's Absolutely. Not even really a weight loss thing. It's just I'd like to not be feeble when I'm old kind of thing.
Absolutely. You got to invest in the frame as much as possible, as much as you can. But do you have, people are, and I have a lot of thoughts about time and time management. I've been reading the Oliver Burkeman 4,000 Hours book, which is in addition to Robert Waldinger's book about happiness. And they're really doing a number on me, really giving me good perspective on how I'm spending my time. Do you have guilt around how you spend your time? Do you feel like you can
it's indefensible the way I spend my time. There's no defending it at all.
Go ahead.
It's brutal. Do
you want to say anything?
I think this is something that a lot of us struggle with now is that your one hand movement of sort of raising your phone in front of your face, your one hand movement from just eating 20 minutes at all times. You know what I mean? That, laying in bed for 20 minutes when you wake up and scrolling through your phone. And so it turns out that like my window since I don't have a job, since I don't have anywhere to be,
right.
That since I'm theoretically my own master when it comes to my schedule, the number of usable hours between the fucking around and the walking my dogs and the helping my wife with the various things that come up pretty much every day, that the number of usable hours I have is, 3 to 4, when, and I'm not using that time. But I don't treat that precious as I should. I should really, and it's like this is the kind of shit I've been beating up myself for since high school. So it's not like a new phenomenon, but it's felt very acute lately just because when, I kind of designed my life in a way where I was the sort of master of my own schedule, but that only works if you master your own schedule.
Yeah.
Just being your own boss is not helpful if you don't fucking kick your employee's ass, which I have to do a better job doing.
Yeah, no, I understand now both ways because
you have to be your own boss. You can't just call yourself I'm my own boss.
Oh yeah,
you have to be a boss.
Yeah,
to yourself.
for sure, and it can be really tough to motivate, especially when there's a bed nearby. I found, but I totally know what you're saying. I burnt 15 minutes on my phone this morning, but I think a lot about my time, and I do a pretty good job. I'm finding balance finally in this project, which has really been exciting for me. I feel like I'm kind of headed into a different zone here, but you said with the phone issue, it's completely a huge problem. But what about, you mentioned it happened when you were younger too, and what can we do now that we do have the phone to make that better? I mean, maybe it's just deleting apps at this point off the phone, or certainly not having the phone near me or something. But It kills.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's you have to give yourself places that you have to be and things that have to be done at a certain time.
Right.
I mean, that's to me this newsletter I've been writing. It's like there are times when I resent it, or I'm not a terribly fast writer, and so there are times when I resent the work that I put into it, but it's done something that I wanted it to do, which is give a little bit of structure to my week. Like I know certain days, certain things have to happen so that it's not all that I'm not pulling all-nighters Tuesday night, and things like that. And so I think giving yourself not artificial deadline. I mean, for some people, they can just be like, I want to have this done by Wednesday, and that's all they need. I need somebody to be expecting it. I need somebody to be waiting on it. And I think that this intern thing, I think, could be really helpful for you. I mean, I know it would be helpful for me, is just having someone to be accountable to, and having someone who requires things from you, and that she can't do her work until you've done your work. And that, to me, sounds like potentially a very positive thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's just interesting to have somebody to work with. Again, going through, I was at Sirius for a long time. Like over almost 15 years all in total. And, I had 3 people that I worked with directly, and an intern for years, and then all these other people and all these other things that you were obviously always doing. And then I had a place to be. And that obviously all changed for me. And I think it changed for a lot of people, which is why it's a good thing for us to discuss post-pandemic and working from home, and also just finding, the fruits of your labor can be something wildly different when you have more control of your time. But it's a tough thing to do for a lot of us. And then for me, I'm next to Val, and she has no problem with it. She gets everything done on time all the time. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I know. And I do wonder whether women are better about that. And I don't know. I'm not trying to get into a nature or nurture thing.
You're going to make women who aren't feel insecure, is my concern.
No, I would say a nurture thing. Well, first of all, again, it's hard to talk about this without slipping into like sort of traditional gender roles and things like that. But I do think women who are, I think you and your wife kind of divvy up childcare responsibilities pretty equally, would you say? Or
now and for years, for the last but not for the first 10 or 12 years. No, it was entirely her. Like, I don't think I ever made. And so
I think certainly meal. Women who have kids or who are the primary caregivers, they have to bang shit out because there's just always things that need to get done on a schedule, picking people up.
Well, I think the best thing you can do to control your sanity is to be as scheduled and regimented with your child's meals and sleep as possible. And I think that's certainly contribute.
Yeah. But I have this like inner adolescent in me that fights that so hard. Like, there's a part of me that is just constantly saying, I'll show me. It's really weird. It's so strange. Like, I will be hanging around. It'll be 1 a.m. and I'll get to a stopping point of doing whatever I'm doing, whether it's work or playing a PlayStation game or whatever. And everything in me is like, there is nothing positive that will happen by me staying up right now. There's nothing. I could go to bed and be asleep by 1:30, which for me is like a normal, good time to fall asleep. And tomorrow will be great. Or tomorrow has a better chance of being productive and happy or whatnot. And I can feel myself saying, no, fuck you. I'm staying up till 3:15. Like, I years of therapy. I don't know why. And it's something I really battle with. And I wish I knew why.
What is your guess?
Guilt and sort of punishing yourself for crap, or, wanting to sort of give yourself an excuse for why things don't happen the way you want them to. Of course I wasn't good on stage tonight. I only got 4 hours of sleep. Who knows? I mean, I don't know why that is, but it's always been a problem, specifically with sleep for me too. Yeah.
I didn't realize that the sleep issue was such a long-term one, but I mean,
and also we have a massive construction project going on across from our bedroom window now. And even though it's been going on for almost a year now, every night I just forget that, like, the quality of your sleep from 7:01 to 8:30 when you get up or whatever. I get up later than most people, but is going to suck. Because it's just going to be like bang, it's just literally 7:01 it starts. And I wake up probably 5 times in that last 90 minutes that I'm asleep. But I don't think of that when it's 3:15 in the morning. I'm going to bed. It's like, well, that's almost 5.5 hours. That'll be fine.
Why don't you just start to pretend, and you can probably work on some other aspiration that you might have had. You'll figure it out. But you're one of the men of the crew. And keep their schedule and kind of live their life. Maybe even get a helmet or something. Like, keep their schedule as if you're there with them. You should
the little kid who has like the fire helmet, and when the fire truck goes by, he like waves like he's an honorary fireman.
I think you should every morning get up when arrive to that work site when they do, and then go
with
do
a
something.
hard hat and cigarettes rolled up in my t-shirt sleeve and.
I also am super fascinated with the idea and really appreciate you sharing publicly. Just kind of those late night anxieties and giving voice to them, because you're so honest and articulate and thoughtful about it. And it's like, it made me want to see everybody's to camera. The fridge light is on. You're looking in there going, is there anything? And then in my case, I satisfy my sweet tooth. And I've said this publicly before, but maybe you heard me, with a shot of maple syrup. The real stuff. I know at least one person who's gotten turned down by it. But like, the idea that you're sharing that stuff, I think is really interesting to have someone's inner monologue come out. I would pay to see that if you documented it for a week.
I don't know that you would. You say you would. I don't know that. What would you pay for it? I mean, I'd be charging $6,000. I don't know. Would you pay that much?
I think it's helpful for people to, especially guys our age, to share those kinds of such private, like no one else is living this. Everybody has it. I have everything.
Well, and it's just funny because, and again, it's my life is specific to my life, obviously, but so many of the things that would probably help me with the things I struggle with are things I avoided. Are things that I've gone out of my way to avoid, that I have a problem with attacking activities like work, like getting started, like, getting going, well, if I had kids or if I had an office job or if I had sort of a more traditional life, a lot of that stuff would be put in place for me and I'd probably do better just because life would make me. Well, those are like literally the things that I arranged my life to not have, and so
there's nothing more motivating than, it's hard to see it any other way, than a kid. When Val got pregnant, we weren't planning it. And I was like, well, I don't have the ability to support a child right now with my stand up alone. I mean, I was doing good as a single guy. I was doing pretty well as a comic, but like, and then that's when I really did all kinds of, deep dive pivots, warm up, and then obviously radio, and just picking those things. But it was like, it had a lot to do with just the idea of a child, and the responsibility there forces you to make choices that you might not have otherwise made, for sure. I think.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. And nobody should ever have a child, because I think it's going to help them get organized. Like, that's like the worst reason in the world to have kids.
I think.
Oh, my little schedule keeper.
Depending on your lack of disorganization, that's how many children you should have. So if you're really bad, you should have 7 kids.
It's probably not too late for me. I see it. I'm going to run away and start a new life. And
I don't know. I mean, it's just a really good point you're making about, like, for people who don't have kids, like certain motivations that inspire you to do any number of daily, weekly life activities. It's like you're not surrounded by that and having the responsibility to them. I wonder a lot about, like, how long will I need to give them money? What if they do what if they make good money, or I don't know. Like, I think about that based on how much I'm going to be kind of working, because who wants to work a lot of hours every day for the rest, into their life? It's preposterous. I've been reading a lot about that too.
How old is your younger daughter?
She's 15, but she's a freshman. We redshirted her when she was going into kindergarten, so she was an older. So she'd be given, and it worked. It's
She's going to crush these other high school kids.
It's an ethical dilemma, especially the parents who do it for like sports and stuff. But no, she was just not ready. We felt September birthday. Anyway, she's a freshman. Ava's leaving, and I just am devastated by the idea that she's leaving, because that's, for me, a huge part of my identity is having that now young woman. She just turned 18. Can never say girl again by any definition.
Yeah, I mean, it's, that's people talk about empty nesters and how hard that can be for certain people, and I don't know. I think you'll be fine. You seem like a pretty self-motivated dude to me, so you'll find some. You'll grow more weight or whatever the things you do.
I don't know that's why you would think that that's the thing.
I don't know why either, because it really goes against type. You so don't strike me as a pot smoker, which is crazy, because I did smoke a little of the pot that you gave me a couple weeks ago, which I have up at the cabin. Yeah, it's dry as a bone.
That's from 3 years ago. And by the way, I wanted to say, I feel bad now, because when you say grow weed, what you really meant, and you're making a joke, but you meant you'd get into any number of your passions, like gardening.
Yes.
And you're right. I will definitely spend more time gardening if I'm not traveling, for sure. Yeah, that's a
You'll
dilemma.
build your own Pete Dominic line of jerk sheds.
Not a bad idea at all.
A jerk shed entrepreneur. You could be the a famous
Are the
developer.
sheds built specifically for masturbation? So there's no windows.
No windows. There's sort of a tissue dispenser.
Your web browser is all anonymous, and someone comes by and cleans it out.
And there are some sort of, that sort of sonic weapon that they said they used in Cuba to screw with the CIA agents' heads.
Yeah.
You'll have that radiating out in every direction from the jerk shed, so that no one surprises you, like some sort of weapon where it's the same way you can ward off dogs with a certain pitch.
It seems like too much, but I like what you're thinking about offensive measures. But let's go back into the shed, because there's got to be all kinds of drawers and things that are used for masturbation specifically.
Cleanable surfaces.
Sure. Obviously.
Clearly.
Yes. Stainless steel, even.
Stainless steel. And then sort of maybe an old shoebox of old pictures and memories for afterwards, when you're feeling sensitive afterwards, just when you're feeling kind of poignant.
Now that's what separates the Pete Dominic jerk shed from the other line.
Yes.
Of more toxically masculine. Jerk shed.
Exactly. Afterwards, there's kind of a weepy little,
Well, that you're really giving me a lot to think about my future.
Well, if I'm a bit of a muse, Pete. I don't know if you're aware of that.
You certainly are, and you have been to many people who are listening to us, and I really appreciate this very personal conversation that we've been having, and it really, you're helping me kind of sort out how I want to continue to do this, with men of our age. A lot of listeners are really into the idea, but I'm not. I don't know. I just get weird about it because I'm not a therapist, and I'm not sure how much I want to share. And so I'm not sure where I want to go with it, but I've been talking with a lot of folks about it for a long time. And I certainly like talking with comedians because just the honesty that comes out.
I mean, my whole, I don't know. I'm done not being honest about this stuff. If that makes any sense. I don't feel like I have much to lose, really. I would rather really sort of turn into the skid and see what's on the other side of it. Then sort of, I'm not in the mode anymore. And I think it started around the time when I shot that Show Your Work, the special I did during the pandemic. I was like, I'm sick of trying to pretend that things are going better than they are. I'm just sick of it, and not that things are going terribly. I have a great life. My wife and I are going to Iceland for my 50th anniversary in April. There's things are super.
Your
but
50th birthday, you said anniversary, but
birthday, yes. No, not 50th anniversary. 50th birthday.
That's awesome.
Is in
Yeah,
April.
go ahead.
No, but I feel like, especially in this business, in comedy, you know, even though you are self-deprecating on stage and, you know, you talk shit about yourself from the stage, in life, like when you're interacting with other comedians and people in the business, or even just people, you know, who came to the show, you're so in this mode of kind of like, things are happening for me, things are great. And, you know, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of putting on the show.
Well, I do believe that if you think about it in terms of ego, I think that you come to this point, some men, thoughtful men, I think, where you start to address and deal with your ego. And I can definitely talk about that for sure. I mean, I hear you. I think, but that's what it is. I'm trying to name it for other people, but it seems like you're done putting up with it's ego related. Am I onto something?
Yeah, and I'm done trying to present this. I'm done with personal branding. I'm done with the idea of trying to put an image out of myself that does not feel the way I feel. And honestly, ironically, I actually feel like that could be the way forward for me, you know, artistically, you know, and it is because where I think I don't want to say where I'm more talented than other people, but where I feel like I maybe have an advantage over other people is that I am a little bit more honest with myself about who I am and what my struggles are and what challenges me and what doesn't, you know. And so why not lean into that a little bit and go down that road, and, you know, rather than just sort of constantly be like, oh man, I killed last night, everything's awesome, and, you know, like, have I told you about this thing I'm doing? Like, ugh.
I hear you, but it's literally why I said specifically to you, I would be interested in you just saying to camera whatever's going on in your brain, because I think that you're really good at addressing it, seeing it, and name it. It's hard to obviously get to the root of things, but you certainly are able to be like, this is what I'm thinking right now. And then you often make it funny, obviously, but I think that that's great. And I think that it's,
well, people make fun of navel gazing, but they don't understand just how fascinating my navel is. Like, they've never really taken a look into my navel. And I think if you saw what was going on in my navel, I think you'd understand why I spend so much time there.
Well, I think you can say that all you want, but I think that when you talk this way, I don't think it. I'm positive of it. Like, it's a brave and difficult and hard thing to do, to talk the way that we do here, the way that you and I do here. I think it is.
I would agree. I don't have conversations like this with other people,
but, you know, putting them out there for other people to hear and encouraging them to have similar conversations is a good, helpful exercise. I think it's a public service.
Pete Dominic on my shoulder at all times. And actually, that's not completely unfeasible. Sorry, that's you're saying so many nice things, and then I had to ruin it with a small.
I'm already thinking of the Photoshop that my new intern Odessa will be doing. Little tiny Pete Dominic for tomorrow's show, up on your shoulder. Me sitting there. I'm gonna have to pose on the edge of a building. Although I do look like a lot of gargoyles already there. So
I don't know. Don't say that. Okay, all right. Yeah, he just did the face. Yeah.
You see it. All right. Well, let's leave it there, and we'll let that be today's session.
I know, it really did feel like it, didn't it?
Guy talk. Two guys talking.
We'll pick this up next week.
Looking forward to next week. All right, man. I will. Thanks, I'll talk to you later. And you're going to be performing at the Great Symphony Space with Best Kalb and others. That's a great venue and looks like a great show on February 7th, right? That's
February 7th. Uptown Showdown, I believe is the name of the show. It's like a debate show where three of us will be taking the debate. This time will be save versus spend, and three of us will be arguing in favor of saving your money, and three of us will be arguing in favor of spending it.
Is it genuine? Do you genuinely feel the argument you're making?
I do, actually. Okay. For the most part. I don't think my argument has worked out super well for me, but I do feel it passionately.
Sounds like you're on the side of spend.
I am on the side of spend.
Yeah,
I'm on the side of make money doing the things that you enjoy doing so that you can spend money to avoid doing the things you don't enjoy doing. And I can hear you saying, but Christian, you don't make money doing the things you enjoy doing.
No,
which I say, shut up, nerd.
You've made a shitload of money doing things you've enjoyed doing in your life. You're certainly someone who can speak to that.
That is true. That's true. I've had a lovely amount of.
You could speak to it, and you can speak to all of it. So you can, because someone might argue, well, how's that worked out for you?
Say, well, you're talking to a guy who owns a back scratcher that I bought just on a whim. I didn't even have to budget this. I just said, you know what? I need a back scratcher. You can do that. And I just went and bought it. That's the kind of life I lead. That's the kind of,
you find that in your couch cushions.
Yeah. Oh my God. Exactly. I mean, just looking around me, just everything costs money. I mean, there's an iPad here. There's books. I mean, I spend a lot of money.
Is that an iPad 2?
It is. There's a crank on the side of it.
Well, I look forward to that. That's a really interesting idea for a show. February 7th, Symphony Space, if you're in around New York, and I'll plug the rest of the stuff unless there's anything else. I think
there is actually something. I mean, this will air on Friday, so this will be tonight. But I'm on Ophira's show tonight. Ophira is doing her show at Soho Playhouse.
I will say that on the way into the interview, again on the way out. And Friday night, you could see it if you're in and around New York. You can see them, and maybe me too. I love this. I mean, I'm going to be in the audience, but rooting for them. I hope there's tape of that, no matter what, because I'll play that on the show. I mean, I feel like I should be able to get access rights to it.
I believe you'd have to contact Ophira Eisenberg Industries and clear that with them.
Good luck with that. You guys are going to have a great time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, dude.
All right, there he goes. Christian Finnegan, everybody. Go see him tonight with Ophira, Leaving a Mark, a comedy about scars. And that is at the Soho Playhouse. Tomorrow, if you're in Florida, Jupiter, Florida, you can go over to Swamp South and hang out with Brian Mitchell. Mitch is hosting a party at his botanical garden. Sorry, I didn't plug it earlier. Hopefully, I'll be at the one next year. And that's it. That's all I've got for you. But stay tuned because I will be dropping another interview. And it might lead right into this. This is part of the experiment here. If you're listening on the Apple Podcasts or most podcast players, it should lead right into the Andrew Spar interview if I get that up in time. But he's the president of the Florida Education Association, good friend of mine. We had an awesome conversation about what's happening in Florida, and that should be able to come up next. You can find that, and hopefully you will enjoy listening to that as well. Stay tuned for a potential weekend special that I might be dropping, and have a great weekend. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to John Carroll for the music. Thank you to Pete Coe for amazing intros. Odessa Son, our intern and producer, she's doing a great job. And all of you hung out at the Hangout and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, go to standuppete.com right now. Be well, be in the moment, find peace, find joy. Tell me how you did it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Off of your fence, even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense, and you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town, just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down, boy, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of a stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change could begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go on and spend. You can see see them flee the scene of that experiment. If you stand up, all right, we got to speak up, we got to reach up and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up, stand up, got to stand.